Federal authorities say 31-year-old Juan Thompson is behind at least 8 of the threats against Jewish institutions across 4 states. Why did he do it? Authorities say to get back at an ex-lover. Using a fake email account, Thompson allegedly pinned some of the threats on his ex, like this one sent to the headquarters of the Anti-Defamation League. She is behind the bomb threats against Jews. The next day, authorities say he phoned in a bomb threat to the ADL and disguised his voice. Thompson is a former journalist from St. Louis and sometimes participated in panel discussions on social issues.
And everyone I know, everyone I grew up with, the people that I interview, whether they be in Ferguson or whether they be in Baltimore, the young people, like I did at one point in my life when I was younger, they desire something more.
At one point, Thompson wrote for the online publication The Intercept. An editor-in-chief there says he was fired early last year after he fabricated quotes and sources, a claim Thompson denied in a previous interview with CNN. Now at the center of accusations again. According to the criminal complaint related to the bomb threats, Thompson even went as far as making it seem like his ex was framing him, sending an email to a Jewish school in Michigan that read, "Juan Thompson put 2 bombs in your school last night. He is eager for Jewish Newtown." Then he blamed the ex on social media, writing, "Know any good lawyers? Need to stop this nasty racist white girl I dated who sent a bomb threat in my name." Federal authorities say the bomb threats by phone and email were the culmination of 7 months of harassment and intimidation toward his ex. The arrest, which received praise from the JCC and ADL, came on the same day FBI Director James Comey met with Jewish religious leaders to discuss the investigation into the dozens of other anti-Semitic attacks and threats.
CNN. Anonymous bomb threats to Jewish institutions have spiked to about 140 incidents across the country since January, according to the Anti-Defamation League. In the 3rd month of continued threats to Jewish community centers, schools and institutions, there are very few answers. It's unclear who's making the threats, why and what the state of the investigation is. Some of the bomb threats are emailed. Some of them are phone calls from muffled and distorted voices. Other calls are automated. They are chilling with threats such as the Jews will be decimated and that bombs have been planted in children's backpacks. Here's what we know. Read more if and it began since January. Jewish community centers around the country, even ones in Canada, have received bomb threats. It started on January 4th with calls made to 2 Orlando Jewish institutions. But the incidents began to spread. In the first 2 months of the year, at least 98 incidents had been reported against JCCs and Jewish day schools at 81 locations in 33 states. According to the Jewish Federations of North America, there have been no reports that authorities found devices at any of sites. The threats have sparked alarm and mass evacuations at community centers and schools. Some parents have pulled their children from JCCs under the continued wave of threats. Empathy and action. Muslims unite to help fix vandalized Jewish cemeteries. Bomb threats are happening amid other anti-Semitic acts in recent weeks. Vandals toppled and damaged hundreds of tombstones in Jewish cemeteries in Philadelphia and St. Louis. In late February, swastikas were etched into cars in an area of Miami that is predominantly Jewish. 6 waves of threats. Bomb threats against Jewish institutions in 20,170. First wave of threats. Jan. 4-11. 20 incidents. Second wave of threats. Jan. 17-18. 27 incidents. Third wave of threats. Jan. 31 Feb. 9. 17 incidents. Fourth wave of threats. Feb. 16-24. 17 incidents. Fifth wave of threats. Feb. 27. 40 incidents. Sixth wave of threats. March 3-7. 15 incident. Source: Anti-Defamation League. The ADL says there have been 6 waves of bomb threats against Jewish institutions this year. Paul Goldenberg, National Director of the Secure Community Network, which advises JCCs on security practices, said each wave of bomb threats seemed different. It definitely has some distinguishing factors. Goldenberg said, "I think we are dealing with a mix of now potential copycats." He had told CNN in February that the calls were unprecedented for their methodical approach and their sophisticated use of voice masking technology, making it difficult to discern if it was a male or female voice, or how old the caller was. Calls could originate from overseas. The FBI said it is investigating the incidents along with the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division, but details have been scarce. Law enforcement officials believe many of the threatening calls to Jewish community centers have originated overseas. So far, no one has been arrested for making nationwide robocall threats to the JCCs. Police say 100 senators urge swift action to stop threats against Jewish facilities. There's also pressure coming from Washington, as all 100 U.S. senators called for more security at Jewish community centers, day schools and synagogues. "We are concerned that the number of incidents is accelerating and failure to address and deter these threats will place innocent people at risk and threaten the financial viability of JCCs, many of which are institutions in their communities," the senators wrote in a letter on Tuesday to Department of Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly, Attorney General Jeff Sessions and FBI Director James Comey. Comey met with leaders in the Jewish community on March 3 to discuss the recent spate of threats. "You ask me, are the feds doing enough? And I'm really not sure," a CEO of a JCC in the Northeast who wished to remain anonymous told CNN in late February. Meanwhile, parents are grappling with whether to keep their children at JCCs amid the ongoing bomb threats. One arrest made so far: a former reporter was arrested in St. Louis and accused of making some of the recent bomb threats against Jewish institutions. Juan Thompson, 31, was charged with one count of cyberstalking for making at least 8 threats. He allegedly made calls to the Anti-Defamation League and other Jewish institutions, with some of the threats mentioning a Jewish Newtown. According to a criminal complaint, Thompson has a detention hearing Wednesday. The accusation against Thompson accounts for just a small minority of more than 100 total bomb threats on Jewish institutions. Trump's response: Trump and number 39. S condemnation of hate crimes. DOESN and number 39. T go nearly far enough. Opinion. President Donald Trump announced the threats to the Jewish community centers in his address to Congress last week, but he has also made confusing comments regarding this issue. In a February meeting with state attorney generals, Trump suggested that recent threats made against the Jewish community may have been committed to make others look bad, and that in terms of the threats, the reverse can be true. Trump made the comments when asked what was being done to combat the bomb threats.